Good morning, everybody. For the past 2 days, I've been enjoying doing yard work, and I took everybody on a tour of my garden yesterday. But the truth is, there are some laws out there that prevent a lot of people from having the yards that they want. So I just wanted to talk about a few things. As homeowners, or maybe you live in a place where you're allowed to do a garden, either vegetable or flowers, but not everybody has those rights. In some states, the lawmakers are cracking down on people having gardens in the front yard. Now, it's not as extreme as it sounds, but basically, there have been news reports of people growing beautiful flowers in their front yards, and the town comes in, sends them a fine in the mail, or says you have to have it all cut down, or there's going to be a consequence and a punishment, basically. As somebody that has gardens everywhere all over my yard, I couldn't imagine if that were to happen to me, but it has happened right here in my neighborhood. The first thing that happened was this small, cozy town did not have blight laws. Growing up on a farm, I thought blight was something tomato plants got and they rotted and you had to throw the tomatoes away. But blight actually means if there are broken windows on a building or dilapidated roofs, things that are rotting on a structure that makes it unsafe for everyone. Anything publicly unsafe, even tall grass. One town over has a blight ordinance. If the grass is over 6 inches high, the homeowners will be fined. My cousin got a notice in the mail one time because it had just gotten about 6 inches high after he had surgery. So he was ordered to cut his grass. That doesn't sound like homeowner freedom to me. My neighborhood is not like that, but at one time, the town decided to have a vote. The public was invited, and they had a vote on blight laws. Part of that was anything growing in the yard over 6 inches would have to be cut down, dead trees on property. But there were also some extreme measures in there, so the town's residents voted no to blight laws. But then, somewhere along the lines a few years later, the town enforced them, even without the public vote. I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I just read the articles after that said they weren't trying to control the rights of homeowners. They weren't trying to be extremists. They just wanted to make sure that everybody was safe. So if there was a house or building with broken windows, they could enforce rules and make the people fix the broken windows instead of having it look like trash, because after all, it does affect homeowner property values elsewhere. If you're living next to a house or building with broken windows, it would be very upsetting, but it would also bring your property value down. If you're trying to actively sell your house or rent your house, people are going to shy away from living next to a place that looks run down and broken. That's what the town said. But I have seen them go after homeowners for different reasons. One of the things that people do against each other is they call authorities when they're upset at a neighbor. For example, there's an elderly village here. There's about 60 houses in it, and they had a community garden. They had water piped in with a spigot so they could water their plants and gardens. They had a beautiful vegetable garden every summer. Well, somebody in the neighborhood, I don't know who, because I enjoyed watching these folks garden, somebody had a problem with it. They called the town. They claimed they saw rats around the spigot. I've never seen a rat here. That's what they claimed. The town came in and shut it right down. No more spigot. Took it right out of the ground, unhooked the water, and they've never been allowed to have a vegetable garden since. Another friend of mine moved into a new neighborhood locally, and she had a boat. This is a community where there's a lot of activities like that. We have a hiking trail that has a couple of beaches. There's also boating there. There's fishing there. So she had a boat and she parked it in her driveway and she got a letter. Can't do that. Have to park the boat outside of the property. Has to be stored somewhere. Can't be on the property. I had personally never heard of that before. I've seen houses with 4 or 5 cars. I've seen houses with RVs, campers, boats. I've never heard that you can't park a boat on your property in the driveway. That was surprising to me. I have known quite a bit of people in my life who do not like flowers. I've never understood it. I love flowers. But people don't like flowers. So they feel that a yard that has flowers growing in it is unkept and unsightly. I saw one guy on the news, I forget which state he was in. He was New Jersey, New York, somewhere like that. And he had beautiful, beautiful prize-winning flowers in his front yard. And his front yard was fenced. And he won awards and he was honored by some organizations. And also they attracted the bees, the butterflies. But despite people complaining that we don't have any bees, we don't have any honeybees, where are the honeybees going? They're also lashing out that this guy has flowers in his yard, and it can't be both ways because you need both for the good. So when I was out in my yard yesterday, I was very appreciative of what I have because I realized not everybody is even allowed to have that in their yard. I know in Michigan, I've heard, I don't live in Michigan, but I have heard this, that it's illegal in some places to have a garden in your front yard. What difference does it make if you grow a cabbage head in your front yard or the back? Who cares? In fact, lettuce, cabbage, there's a lot of plants that are purely decorative. I have a neighbor, every year she throws some pumpkin seeds in the front yard and they grow, and the pumpkin vines are very long. They look beautiful out there. She plants some mums around them. It's amazing. It's art. But yet some people have a problem with it. They don't want to look at it in the front yard. And like I said, I've had my own share of that in my own family. I've had people that just detest flowers of any kind. And I've never been able to figure it out. With the way the world is, with pollution, things that are unhealthy in our environment, you would think people would be more on the side of somebody growing a flower to attract a butterfly and a bee. But those same people are complaining about the people who do in fact grow the flowers. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So as long as I can, I will garden. But what I'm noticing is if this is the reality now, where people are being fined for having flowers in their front yard or gardens in their front yard or growing a lettuce bowl in a pot on their stairwell, that's called oppression. It's oppressing our rights. But I don't see anybody talking about that specific issue. Why is somebody else sitting on the sidelines reporting a neighbor for growing a salad bowl on their front porch? Why? Why are they doing that? And why does the town say, yeah, you're right, we're going to fine them, we're not going to let them do that? Why on earth would anybody want to take that approach? Because they themselves are sitting on their step, enjoying their freedom. They're probably reading a book, maybe having a cup of coffee, cup of tea. They're enjoying their freedom. My motto is live and let live. Let your neighbor have their flowers. You know, I had a neighbor once that actually got told they had to cut their 6-foot sunflowers down. It broke my heart. Are you kidding me? Animals, birds, they love sunflower seeds. But that's what I'm talking about. And what's going to become of everybody and anybody who has a home if everybody can't have flowers? What solution will they come up next to the honeybee crisis if they won't let people plant flowers in their front yard? Thanks for watching today. Take care.